Jai Shri Radhe, Sab Vaishnav ko Jai Shri Krishna. Day 77, Varta 56 of the 252 biographies of the Vaishnava disciples of Sri Gosaiji. Varta 56, the story of Gyan Seth from Agra, Bhav Prakash. He is a devotee of Rajasi disposition. In the eternal Leela, his name is Anangani. She manifests from Dhruvananda and is thus a form of her divine loving sentiment. Gyan was born to a businessman in Agra. His father was very wealthy, running a money-lending and money-changing business. However, he had no children and was very sad about this. Somebody advised him to give alms to the poor on a daily basis and that he would then benefit from the blessings of a visiting holy man to beget children. He opened such a facility in his home. All the Brahmins, renunciates, mendicants and hermits, whosoever came to Agra could get alms from him. The businessman gave them food supplies as they needed with his own hands. He soon begot a son and named him Gyan. When Gyan was 14 years old, his father married him off. Not long after, his parents died. His wife also died before long. Gyan became crazy. He could not find solace anywhere. He would go and listen to any and all holy discourses that were being hosted in the town. One day a Vaishnava told him that he should go to the discourses being held in Sant Das's house, for he would surely feel great bliss there. However, he said, Sant Das only allows Vallabh Sampradaya Vaishnavas to go to his home, so if you become a Vallabhi Vaishnava, you can avail yourself of this chance. Gyan asked him how he could do this, and he replied that he should go to Gokul and be initiated by Sri Gosaiji. Gyan asked the Vaishnava, "Who is Sri Gosaiji?" He replied, "Sri Gosaiji is the Lord himself, and he reigns in Gokul." Gyan took some expenses with him and set off from Agra. He had the sight of Sri Gosaiji in Gokul. That day was Sri Gosaiji's birthday. Gyan saw that it was being celebrated all over Gokul. The houses were decorated with strings of fresh leaves above the doorways, and all the sweetly smiling ladies were singing songs of congratulation. Sri Gosaiji had taken a bath in saffron water and was putting on a saffron-tinged dhoti and duparna. It was at this moment that Gyan came there and bowed to Sri Gosaiji, who was pleased and glanced towards Gyan. He said, "Oh, Gyan, when did you come from Agra?" Hearing this question, Gyan was very surprised, for neither of them had seen each other before, and yet Sri Gosaiji had addressed him by his name. There must be a reason for this, he thought. He concluded that Sri Gosaiji must be the Supreme Lord himself, for there could be no other explanation. Gyan then replied, "O Maharaj, I have just arrived from Agra." Sri Gosaiji called Haridas Kawas over and told him to give Gyan the water in which his feet had been bathed. At that moment, Gyan experienced the vision of Sri Gosaiji's spiritual form and all the Lord's eternal pastimes. Gyan then supplicated Sri Gosaiji to accept him as his disciple. "I have been wandering around separated from you for such a long time, and now I have come to your feet. Please do not delay in accepting me. Please let me take shelter in you." Sri Gosaiji saw that Gyan was sincerely seeking, and so he granted him initiation with the Lord's name, and the next day with Brahma Sambandh. Gyan then realized his true identity and felt much content. He kept the vision of Sri Gosaiji's birth celebrations in his heart. Gyan was always absorbed in the divine pastimes. Sri Gosaiji presented him with all of Sri Acharyaji's and his own written treatises. Gyan stayed for a few more days in Gokul and then went back home to Agra with Sri Gosaiji's permission. There he would always read these writings and thus stay absorbed in the Lord's pastimes. Part 1. Whenever Sri Gosaiji came to Agra, he would always sit down at Gyan house. So much grace Sri Gosaiji showered upon him. Sometime later, Gyan body became weak and he lay down on the ground. Many Vaishnavas came to his house and he requested them all to chant the name of the Lord around him and thus bless him. One sang the Ras Panchadhyayi, the 5 chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam describing the Ras Leela. Someone sang the Song of the Flute. Someone sang the Yugal Geet, the Gopi song in pairs of verses. One sang the Geet Govinda and one sang Leela Kirtans. In this way, all the Vaishnavas chanted the holy name. Gyan listened attentively to all of them. When it was close to the time for him to leave his body, Gyan addressed the Vaishnavas present. "Listen, once Sri Gosaiji, on his appearance day, had just bathed and was putting on his saffron-coloured dhoti and uparna. That was when I bowed down to him. He knew exactly who I was and where I had come from. He told Haridas to bring the water his feet had touched and gave it to me. Sri Gosaiji then blessed me by asking, 'O Gyan, when did you arrive from Agra?' I then told him, O Maharaj, I just now arrived. In this way, Gyan Chand meditated on his Guru and then, after greeting all the present Vaishnavas with the Lord's name, left his body. In this way, Gyan Chand was very attached to Sri Gosaji's form. At that very moment, he attained a new body and went to Gokul, where he bowed to Sri Gosaji, who asked him, O Gyan Chand, when did you arrive? Gyan Chand replied, O Maharaj, I just arrived. At that moment, the doors to Sri Navaneet Priyaji's temple opened. Gyan Chand had his holy sight and immediately entered the eternal Leela. Thus concludes Varta 656, the story of Gyan Chand, who was a recipient of Sri Gosaji's great grace and an accomplished Vaishnav, to whose story there is no real end. So Vaishnavan ko sadar saprem. Ananta 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 Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Radhe, Aaj ke Anand ki Jai Ho, Shri Gosaji ki Jai Ho, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.